Namaskar. My name is Poushali Chatterjee. I am an exponent of classical Manipuri dance. I have taken training from the age of 8 years, first from Sri Kunja Singh. Then I went on to train under Padma Shri Guru Srimati Dashna Javeri, Guru Kalavati Devi, and finally Guru Bipin Singh. I have also trained in Thangta, the Manipuri martial arts, from Oja Ranjit Jitha, and I have also taken training in traditional Manipuri dance from Srimati Amusina Devi. I pay respect to all my gurus before starting this presentation. I thank Sneha Lalit Kala Kendra for organizing this wonderful festival, the Nada Festival, where we are doing orientation of several dance styles. I am privileged to come and present this beautiful dance style from the northeast of India. It is relatively less known than other classical dance styles, and I am happy to come and present some of the unique characteristics of this dance style. So first I'll start with a little bit of history. Manipur has a very old and rich tradition of dance and music which is 2000 years old. In Manipur, there are the Maibis, or the female priestesses, who as part of the Lai Harava festival perform several dances where they show or they follow the primitive concept of cosmology, and they show the creation of the universe, the creation of the human body, and so on and so forth. They show various kinds of creations. So whether it is the creation of the body, which is called Hakchang Sagatpa, or the creation of the house, which is Yumshaba, and creation of the cloth, which is Fisaba. All these things they have done since primitive times. About in the 17th and 18th century, the Vaishnavite religion, as part of the Bhakti movement in India, the Vaishnavite religion was introduced in Manipur, and the Vaishnavite literature, the Puranas, the Vaishnava Sangeet Shastras, etc. were also introduced, and this led to a wonderful combination of the inherent dance styles of Manipur, and which comes from Lai Harava. They also had the Manipuri martial arts, which is called Thangta. They had a lot of things which were inherent to Manipur, like polo playing, like the wrestling, the Manipuri wrestling, boat racing, etc. So all these things were indigenous forms which kind of fed into each other. And when the Vaishnavite religion was introduced, especially Maharaja Bhagyachandra was the one who encouraged and embraced Vaishnavism and introduced the Ras Leela into Manipur. Then it became a beautiful conglomeration of the Vaishnavite thought process and the beautiful dance styles of Manipur, and led to very defined form of classical dance in the form of the Sankirtan and the Ras Leelas. Maharaja Bhagyachandra actually encouraged all the gurus to study the Puranas, the Vaishnava Shastras, and as a result we have some very, very rich compositions, both in terms of the literature, the lyrics, the melodies, as well as the Talas. Manipur has a very, very rich Tala system, which I am going to touch upon very briefly today. So this was the historical perspective. Moving on, I'd like to say a little bit about the form. It is a very, very graceful and delicate dance form. It of course has a very vigorous side also, which I will talk about. But when you think of Manipuri dance, you think of the beautiful swaying movements. We have the rounded circular movements. They are also performed diagonally instead of being in right angles. Also, this entire graceful swaying movement, one movement blending into the other, maintaining the figure of 8, the figure of 8 in all, whether it is our neck movements or our hand movements or our torso movements. The figure of 8 is maintained, and it is said that this is inspired by the graceful swaying of the bamboo trees in Manipur. So the way the bamboo trees actually sway, that is how our dance form and our movements follow. So this is about the entire graceful and continuous form of Manipuri. There are no jerks in the dance form. You will see that it is always one movement blending into the other like the waves of the sea. The other very strong character or unique characteristic of Manipuri dance is that we have a very distinct difference between Lasya, which is the feminine form, and Tandav, which is the masculine form. Lasya, as I was showing, it is very graceful and lyrical and soft and controlled. There is no overt movement, there is no jerk, there is no, the knees have to be together. There is the concept of Pai Namba, which I will show after some time. And Tandava also is very controlled, but Tandava is also very vigorous. And there's a lot of jumping, there are acrobatic movements and circular spiral movements. So there's a very distinct, you will see that Tandava and Lasya is completely different. So much so also we are supposed to wear separate costumes altogether in Tandava and Lasya. So what I'm wearing now, this the lower part, it's called the fanik. It is like a sarong. This is what Manipuri girls and ladies wear every day, and also for dance, also for special occasions. And the top part, it is called the inafi. And these inafis are actually hand woven by almost every house in Manipur has a loom, and it is hand woven by the women of the house. So this is something that we would wear when we perform the Lasya form. For Tandava form, we'll have to wear the dhoti and the associated costumes. Today, for the purpose of the demonstration, I must ask pardon because we are not supposed to actually perform Tandava wearing fanik. But for the purpose of the demonstration and in the interest of time, I will perform Tandava also wearing fanik. In Tandava, there are 3 forms. There is the first form, which is called the Krishna Tandava, which is seen in Ras Leela, which is like the counterpart of Lasya, but with little bit of jumping. Then there is the Cholam Tandava, which is performed in forms like Pum Cholam and Dhol Cholam and Kartal Cholam, which is part of the Sankirtana, usually performed by men. That is a little more stylized and a little more vigorous, and there you'll see that in Krishna Tandava also our knees stay together. However, in Cholam the posture, basic posture is with the knees a little apart. There are several levels to that posture. And then there is the Thanta, which is the martial arts, and that is even more vigorous, and it's a more free, bigger movements, more vigorous movements, and I will try to demonstrate a little bit for you. So we'll start off with a little bit of a demonstration of what Krishna Tandava is like. This is from a composition by my Guruji, Guru Bipin Singh. It is called Kuntha Jagoi. It shows Krishna and Radha competing with each other. I'll perform a very small Tora from it to show you the Krishna Tandav part of it, and then we move on to Cholam Tandav and Thanta, very small demonstration. So just give me a minute, I will start this. Very short Tora of which shows the Krishna Tandav part of it. Now I will show you small piece. This is also taken from one of Guruji's presentations, which is called Bajikar Khel, and here he has used the Cholam Tandava style. So just a small piece demonstrating Cholam Tandava.
Tin, tin, tin ta, tin, tin ta, kin tin, tin, tin ta, tin, tin ta, kin tin, tin, tin ta, tin, tin ta, ta, pregnant ta, gran, grat ta, kinta, ta, 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 tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, tana, tana, tang, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, tana, tana, tang, ta, tin, ta, tin, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, ta, tin, tana, 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 ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, tana, tana, tang, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, ta, tin, tin, tana, 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 ta, kinta, ta, ta, kinta, ta, kinta, ta, kinta.
So this was Cholam Tandava, and as you would have seen, while in Krishna Tandava we are keeping our feet close, in Cholam Tandava we take this posture, and that's how it will go. Okay, so this is the difference. Now little bit of a Thamta demonstration, which is we don't, unfortunately I don't have music for this, but this is Thamta is essentially the sword and the spear, and here I will show you what is called Ta Kosaba, the first pranam of the Ta dance, and this is done usually in front of the king, so that's why first there is a pranam that is done. Okay, so that was a demonstration of some parts of the Tandava. Now I'll go on to some basic steps. So this is something that our Guruji, Guru Bipin Singh, he actually broke up the dance form, and to teach people, especially outside Manipur, who are unlike the Manipuri people, they don't have the opportunity to grow up watching dance, Manipuri dance all the time. So he created these steps, and they are broken up into steps which you perform on the ground, then steps with jumping, then you have steps with jumping and sitting, then you have the spiral steps which are very typical of Manipuri dance. So what I'll do is I will one by one demonstrate some of these small variations, just to understand what are some of the basic steps in Manipuri dance. So the first one is where you have your feet on the ground. The feet is not going to be lifted from the ground. So I come a little nearer so that you see my feet. Yeah.
Din kina din tin ta kita ta tin tin kina tin ta kita ta tin tin ta te kina te tin ta te kina te tin ta te kina te tin kita ta 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 tin takin tena tin traka takin tena tin takin tena tin traka takin tena tin tatakita takin tatakita tin tatakita takita din gragin gragin.
So that was
Ta dhan ta dhan trakratin ta kittin ta kinatana tat kitta kita kinda kinatana tat kitta kinda dhan ta dhan trakratin ta kittin ta dhan ta again.
After this, I will show little bit of the spiral movements, first in Lasya and then in Tandava.
Tate kintat te tate kintat te trakratate kintat te trakratate kintat te tate kintat te trakratate kintat te.
This is in Lasya and now in Tandava.
Tate kintat te trakratate kintat te tat tang tat tin tin.
So after this, we will talk about the 3 types of dance as per our Shastras, which is Nritta, Nritya and Natya. So all these forms of course are part of Manipuri dance, and I'll start off with Nritta. There is something called Punglol Jagoi in Manipuri dance. So Punglol Jagoi is essentially dance along with the bowls of the Pung, which is the Manipuri Mridam. So Punglol basically means the bowl of the Pung or the language of the Pung, and Jagoi means dance. So Punglol Jagoi is basically dance to Tala and to different rhythmic patterns. And in Manipur we have something very unique called Chara or Sara, and that is dance or rhythm composition without Tala. So the compositions are divided into Anibadha, which is without Tala, and Nibadha, which is with Tala. So Anibadha part is one such composition is called Sara, and in Manipur we have many such examples. Usually we see that in before a music rendition there is an alap which is without Tala. So this is also like the alap of the tal or the bowl pattern or the rhythmic pattern of the composition, and this is very unique to Manipur. So I will show you first one Anibadha piece, small Anibadha piece, which is Sara.
Tagin. Trakata. Tang. Tatakita. Kin. Kinatanakita taneta. Tang. Trakata. Tang.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. So that was composition without tala, and now we move on to some of the talas. Manipur has talas from 4 to 68 beats, so a wide range and very rich tradition of talas. I will just demonstrate a few, and then I will play a small piece on the poem. This is one characteristic of Guru Bipin Singh's gharana, if I can call it that, where he felt that every dancer needs to have a very deep and intrinsic understanding of the poem in order to understand the rhythms of Manipuri dance. So he has taught all his female disciples to play the poem. This is unusual in Manipuri dance, but he felt that it was very important for us to understand how to play the poem. So I will demonstrate a little bit on the poem also. So the first tala I'm going to talk about is called Teora. The first performance that I did, which was Pontha Jagoi, that is set on Tal Teora. It's on 7 beats and 3 stresses. So it will go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The teka or the paring, as we call it in Manipuri, is dhan, ting, tang, tatta, kitta, kinta, kinta, dhan, ting, tang, tatta, kitta, kinta, kinta. And the tora that I did, it would go like this: tatta, kinta, takita, gininta, the kid, taginta, takita, gininta, the kid, taginta, takita, gininta, the kid, gininta, the kid, gininta, the ta, 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 tatanita, tanatang, tatanita, takita, the nakita, the kinta, takita, tat, ginang, taginang, taginang, tat, taginang, 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 tat, taginang. So this is Teora. Then we have Brahmatal, which is of 28 beats and 10 stresses. So Brahmatal goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. That is Brahmatal, and the bowl or the paring of Brahmatal: Dhin, gra gra, dhin, the, dhin, kra kra, takita, ginta, takita, tinta, gra gra, ginta, kita, ginta, tinta, kita, takitang. So this is Brahmatal, and then finally we have a tal called Dashkosh, once again on 7 beats, but the rhythm pattern is entirely different from Teora. So Dashkosh will go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the paring will be gra, kin, kinta, kin, gra, kin, kinta, kin, kinta, gra, kin, kinta, kin, gra, kin, kinta, kin, kinta. So this is the small piece that I will play to demonstrate Dashkosh. Back, no?
Just a second.
Radhe Krishna Govinda, Krishna Krishna Govinda. Nritya, actually, I think we are running a little short of time. So, I will move on to Nritya, which is descriptive dance. And Nritya, as you know, is decorative dance. This is descriptive dance. And here I would like to talk about the use of mudras, which is called Kutlon or Kuttek in Manipuri. And as I was saying at the beginning, that the Maibis or the female priestesses, when they dance in Daiharaba, describing the creation of the universe, the creation of the human body, or the creation of the house, etc., they use a lot of the mudras, which is the hand gestures essentially. So they will use a lot of these mudras and like that, right? And this is all to be found in Laiharaba, all these things, and they will also they are also found in the Ras Leelas and the other dances of Manipur. So all the different things like showing the eyes and showing the nose, showing the neck, these are all done with the help of mudras. So similarly, if I can show that one mudra, this one hand gesture can be used to show a lot of things. So for example, this can be used to show no, nishedha, I don't want this. Or it can be shown, it can be, let me just move back a little bit. It can show the peacock feather crown of Lord Krishna, which is on top of your head, you will show. Then it can also be shown to be silent, right? It can be used to show touch. It can be used to show the neck. So there are many such uses of each mudra. I will show you a very small piece where within a composition our Guruji has used different mudras, and this is a composition which describes the beauty of Lord Krishna and Lord Radha. So here it shows that how Krishna is wearing the yellow colored dhoti and Radha is wearing the blue veil, and then how Krishna has a chura on his head and Radha has this beautiful stone ornament, and so on and so forth. So I will just show this little piece. So, okay, we will now move on to Natya, which is the Abhinaya part of dance. Natya is of course expressive dance where you use theatrics or facial expressions. But in Manipuri, there are, as we know in our Shastras, there are various forms of Abhinaya, like Angik, Vachik, Sadik and Aharya. So all these kinds of Abhinaya are there in Manipuri. But I think the Angik Abhinaya is very pronounced because unlike most other dance styles in Manipuri, we don't rely so much on facial expressions. The facial expressions are controlled, and because at the end of the day, and this is something I want to mention about Manipuri dance is not an art form. it is an art form, of course, but in Manipur, it is actually a way of worship. Till today, it is a way of worship. It is part of their everyday lives. So from the time that a child is born to the time someone dies, there is always a sankirtan that happens for every social and religious occasion. They get married also wearing the costume which is called poloi or kumin, and that is how dance and music is perceived in Manipur. So it is essentially a form of worship, and this form actually till about 60 years back, it was still a form that was there in the temples. It is still there in the temples. If you go there today also, you will see. For the last 60 years, some gurus of Manipur like Guru Amuni Singh, Guru Bipin Singh, Ujadev Jain Chaliha, then Javeri sisters, Kalavati Devi, all of them, they have actually taken this dance form from the temple to the proscenium stage, and while keeping the essence of that alive, they've tried to make it suitable for the stage. So this actually is as new as 60 years old, and so but till today it is something which is very very close to the socio-religious fabric of Manipur. So when I talk about Abhinaya, I was also talking about costumes. I would like to show, because as I said, it is not possible to wear all the costumes. I don't know whether you will be able to see. I hope you're able to see. This is the costume of Krishna. So there is the dhoti, the yellow dhoti called paijom. Then you have the beautiful headdress which comes in 4 parts. There is the first, the mukut, which basically fits into your head. Then there's the chura on top, which is the peacock feather crown. Then the round thing which is red and golden called kajingle, and then at the back there is that white thing called cherry, which is made out of paper. And then there are these 2 side belts, crown and the front belt. Usually we also have these hand and feet ornaments. So this is the costume for Krishna, and I will also show you the costume for Radha, which most of you will be familiar with, I think, because that is very very common of Manipuri dance. So this is the Radha costume. So this bottom is the kumin, this is the poshwal, then you have the veil, and then koktumbi, the pointed triangular thing is called koktumbi. The little sort of patti on the border, white border is there, it's called koknam. And then you have the velvet blouse, and the white cloth covering the torso is called tabakiyet. And then of course we have the crown and the belt in the front. So this is the typical Manipuri Raslila dress which is worn, but this can only be worn during Raslila and for particular performances. Usually when we are performing other solo items, we wear this kind of costume for Lasya, and we will wear a dhoti and possibly not the full ornament on top, but a pagri which is called a koet. So that is about the costume, and I wanted to mention it here because we do a lot of abhinaya through the costume, which is the aharya. Because if you are Krishna, if you're performing Krishna in Raslila, you have to wear that costume I just showed you. If you are Balaram, you will wear a green colored dhoti. Then if you are Radha, you will wear the green colored kumin. If you are a Gopi, you will wear the red colored kumin, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of rules and guidelines along this. So coming back to the abhinaya, which is, I was talking about the Angika abhinaya, which is through the entire body. So in Manipuri, we actually do a lot of the abhinaya through the body. Of course, there are some facial expressions also. But if I am showing, sadness or pain, and my whole body will go like this in pain, not only my face, and the whole body will go down like that, right? So the abhinaya or the feeling or the emotion has to come through the entire body movement rather than through only my facial expressions. So When it comes to Abhinaya, we have etc. And there are 64 divisions of Shringar Rasa that is followed in Manipur. It is called Rasa Humfumari. Humfumari is basically Manipuri for 64 and Rasa Humfumari. And these 64 divisions of Shringaras are performed in Pasha. What I'm going to demonstrate to you now is a very famous piece, Kandita from Kavi Jayadev's composition. It is Kandita, where Lord Krishna has promised Radha that he'll meet her in the night. Radha goes out to the the jungle power, so to say, and to meet Krishna, but he does not arrive. And when he arrives in the morning, he arrives with telltale marks of having been with another woman. So Radha says, Yahi Madhava, Yahi Keshava, Mahuda Kaitava Vadam. Basically, go away, Krishna. I do not want to speak to you again. So this is the essence of Khandita, a very small piece. I will demonstrate in the interest of time. That was little bit from Khandita Naika. Now, before we end, the last part that I would like to talk about is festival dances, which is once again a very, very unique characteristic of Manipuri dance. As I said, in Manipur, every social occasion is accompanied by dance or music. So whether it is a karnabhet, which is ear piercing ceremony, or it is the string ceremony, or your marriage, the shad ceremony, everything is accompanied by this dance and music. And the children of Manipur actually grow up in this atmosphere of dance and music all around. And the festivals, all the festivals, both the festivals of related to the Vaishnav religion, as well as the ancient, the festivals in honor of the ancient gods like Pakhamba, ancestors, then Sanamahi, which is your household god, then Umanglai, the village gods. All these are actually celebrated with dance and music, and all beautiful forms and all very distinct from each other. So for example, we just crossed Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra festival is accompanied by what is known as Khubak Ishai. Khubak Ishai is basically dance performed while clapping. Khubak means clap and Ishai means song. So that is done by both men and women. So Nupi is woman and Nupa is man. Nupi and Nupa Khubak Ishai. It is also during Khubak Ishai, during Rath Yatra, in Manipur, they also sing the Dashavatar, Jaydev's Dashavatar. It is called Joydev or Joydev Chomba, where the men actually perform the Dashavatar. So that is also a beautiful way of celebrating Rath Yatra. Then similarly, you have the Laiharaba festival, which happens in May. You have the different Ras Leelas. So also during Holi, you have a lot of celebration where mainly Dhol, Cholom, etc. are performed. And then during Jhulan Yatra, which is where Radha and Krishna, they are put on a swing, and the gopis are dancing while swinging them. During Jhulan Yatra, they perform something called the Mandila Nartan. So with the small cymbals, the gopis actually, they put Radha and Krishna on the swing, and they dance with the Mandila, and they praise Lord Krishna and Radha. So that is one small piece with which I am going to end today's presentation.
Mandila Nartan.
रतन हिंदल पर बैठल राधा माधवो, रतन हिंदल पर बैठल राधा माधवो, सखगन देत झांकरी, रतन हिंदल पर बैठल राधा माधवो, रतन हिंदल पर बैठल राधा माधवो, राधा माधवो, हो द्रांग द्रांग किट किट कोन झेन झेंकु झेन झेंकु झेंद्रांग 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 किट किट कोन झेन धक्कु धक धिक्कु आरे तथा तथे त्रिगते दिगते थे द्रिंग तथे थे द्रांग गुरु द्रांग गुरु द्रांग गुरु द्रांग
So thank you everyone for joining. Just before ending, I would like to say that all the dance and music has been composed by my Guru Bipin Singh, assisted by Darshana Javeri and Kalavati Devi. The vocals were by Srimati Poushali Chatterjee, my mother, and the Pung by Ujabir Mangal Singh and Shrishanta Das. So thank you very much. Thanks to Sneha Lalit Kala Kendra for inviting me. I really enjoyed presenting Manipuri dance to all of you, and I hope that you liked the presentation I brought before you. Thank you very much. Stay safe and good night.